finish today with ministry. So we said this, why are grace gifts important? Let's just make sure we revisit that. It's because it is beneficial to the overall spiritual health and maturity of the church. It promotes unity within the church, which is what God wants. It sets an example and teaches the next generation how a church functions. It helps the church to function efficiently. We want to be hitting on all cylinders. And then, of course, it pleases the Lord when we're stewards of the things He has given to us. So, these are the gifts available: prophecy, ministry, teaching, exhorting, giving, ruler, and mercy. Ministry, how it's defined: the ability to recognize and administer assistance to others. It is the ability to recognize. No one has to say to you, this will be a little bit of a characteristic, but no pastor does not have to come to you and say, hey, would you, if he'd have never made that announcement and you're gifted in ministry, you would have been the last one in the building straightening something up. Because you perceive or you recognize that there's something that needs to get done. Okay? And so you recognize and administer assistance to others that need help. This is how you operate. This is your core. You want to administer help. No matter if it's someone calls you and says, hey, my car broke down, you're the first one that wants to be there. Pastor says, hey, I need somebody to do this. You're doing it. Now, you'll have its challenges. You might not do it the way He wants you to do it, but you're going to do it. You're going to do it with everything you've got in you, and we'll talk about some of those things. But here's a purpose. Here's a purpose of a minister. I meant to do this on the break. I'm going to do this now because it's been driving me crazy. Okay. I love you. I think I'm the one that did that earlier. I just didn't recognize it. Purpose of a minister. God's grace gift of ministry to the church is for the purpose of meeting any and all needs of others. That sounds really big and blanketed, but it's meant to be. Okay? Now, let's remember, your primary gift is not to the exclusion of other gifts. So maybe ministry is not yours, but you still have to purpose to meet the needs of other people. You just might not do it at the level someone else is willing to do it. Some of you are going to begrudgingly stay and clean the church. But you're not going to have near as much fun doing that as the person who's gifted ministry. Because they just can't wait. They'll do their part, then they'll come help you do your part, and then they'll come help the next group do their part, and then they'll say, Pastor, is there anything else you need? And they'll stay as long as they can. Because that's how God's gifted them. Matthew chapter 20. But whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister. And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. Even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give His life a ransom for many. We say, the Bible tells us, that Jesus Christ came to do and teach everything that the church knows today. And so He was doing ministry and set the example long before we ever knew that there would be a gift of ministry. Characteristics: willingly meets the needs of others. It's not a chore to them. Okay? If you have ministry, you are willingly ready to jump in wherever you're needed. And there's no limits for you. Has a hands-on approach. You're not a delegator. That's not what you do. You would rather be doing it than telling someone else to do it. You will delegate. You will ask for help. You will do certain things that will help you get the task done. But for you, you're the happiest when you're doing something, not talking about doing something. Precise and orderly. Believe it or not, you're not just willy-nilly doing whatever pastor said he needed you to do. You're precise about getting it done. It's your vision. It's going to be a challenge with someone with ministry. They're not the visionary of it, but it doesn't mean you can't see it. You're going to be precise in getting it done. You're going to be orderly in how you get it done. You're going to be detail-oriented. They're going to matter to you. The details are going to matter to you. I love, this is not my gift, but I love the detail in everything. If I have an event, it's not enough for me to just have an event. Every detail has to be right. And someone with ministry sees that. They understand that. Detail-oriented. Right down to the sleeves on the coffee cups, or the type of lid that it is, or, pastor says, let's clean the church. And by that, you pick up a piece of trash on the floor, whereas someone with ministry is more detailed. They're going to pick up the piece of trash, but then they're going to take the trash out. And then they're going to come back and clean the trash can before they put the next liner in it, because the details matter to them. That's how that works for someone who's gifted with ministry. Friendly. No one wants somebody helping who they don't like to spend time with. And ministry, listen, you do ministry with someone who loves ministry, and they're going to love being there, and they're going to love everybody that's there with them. They're just friendly folks. Has trouble turning others away. Has trouble turning others away. And what I mean by that is, you're doing a project, pastor asked you to do it, you see the detail, you're doing the things that are important, right, and matter to you, and you've got the vision, someone wants to jump in and help, and you have trouble turning other people away. So you're going to let them get in because you're thinking, man, they ought to want to do this as much as I do. But they're there for different reasons. They have ulterior motives, and that'll be clear to you right away. And then all of a sudden, your project is kind of a mess because you couldn't turn other people away, and you have trouble with that. More interest in others than self. You're interested in making sure other people are happy with whatever you're doing, no matter what that means to you. That doesn't mean, if you're going to get home late because you were helping someone else, then you're going to get home late. We're going to talk about challenges here in a minute. More short-term oriented than long-term. More short-term oriented than long-term. You care about the now. You do not care about how is this going to affect things down the road. If I do this now, it's great. It's going to be great. Everyone's going to love it right now. Doesn't matter if it messes up things 6 months from now. You're short-term oriented and you're not long-term oriented. You just know today is the day the Lord has given you. Actively expressive rather than verbally expressive. They're not going to be the ameners in the room. They're not even going to say, hey, yeah, let's do that. That sounds like a great idea. Pastor Hawkins is going to have his request halfway out of his mouth, and they're already jumping up, going after whatever the first thing is they heard. They don't even care what the second thing was he said. Because they're active in their expression. They're not verbally expressive. They're just going to show their love. They're just going to show their support. Actively. Desires appreciation. Everyone wants to be told, thank you. Everyone wants to be shown appreciation. I understand that. But someone who does ministry definitely has a desire to be given appreciation for what they did. It's not what drives them, but deep down, they love it. Goes above and beyond what is asked of them. You'll do what was asked of you, and if necessary, you'll do more. If there's something else you see, it won't just be take out the trash. Lots of people are willing to take out the trash. Few people are willing to come back and put the liner back in the can. Or pick up the other trash along the way. It's just they go above and beyond what is asked of them in every situation. Enjoys being helpful. They're like a kid at Christmas at church because they're looking for opportunities to be helpful. They're waiting for that door to be cracked open that says, oh, I'll do that. Oh, I'll jump in there. Oh, pastor said that needed to get done. And so you enjoy being helpful. It's what makes you tick. Your high energy level. You're not procrastinating. your high energy level. You just go to a detriment, but you're just go, and we'll clean up the loose ends on the back end. High energy level. Orderly, does not like clutter. You guys have no idea the depth of love I have for your pastor. But I laughed so hard this morning when I came in here. I was the first one in the building. I was going to try to figure out how to set up my computer for the projector. And then I looked behind the curtain. No one should look up here. This is not how my brain functions. And so, if you have the gift of ministry, this is not your world. Now, all of this has a purpose. I do have some questions, but all of this has a purpose. I can see it. I mean, I'm wondering when the last time was you had. Do you use fog every Sunday? I'm just picking on. Well, it's a fog machine and the chemicals right there. It's both there. The one that intrigued me the most is the badminton racket. I mean, here's what I thought. I saw this, and then I saw the sweet tarts. And I thought, well, that's how he distributes the sweet tarts when they answer the Bible trivia questions. John, I'm just picking. Listen, someone with ministry is orderly and does not like the clutter. You were thinking ministry's yours, right? And does not like the clutter, okay? A perfectionist. Now that's a detriment. That can be a detriment, but your characteristic is it's got to be exactly right. It's got to be, you are a perfectionist, okay? Places an importance on serving. You're great for those that will teach the Bible. You're great for those with prophecy. You're great with those for all the other gifts. But in your mind, the most important thing to do is serve. The most important thing to do is something. Let's not sit around and talk about the Bible. Let's not just sit at the table and teach each other. You see the importance in it, but it's not the placement you give serving. You would rather be doing than not doing, for sure. Would rather do than delegate. You can delegate, we talked about that earlier, but you'd rather do it than delegate it because you find the joy in it. It is something you have to do. It supports the leadership. You are very supportive of the leadership. You're not going to let anyone talk bad about your pastor like I just did. You're not going to put up, and that's just not your pastor, that's all your leadership. Because in your mind, that's how they serve, and in your mind, that's how you serve. You serve by ministry. You serve by doing. When the leadership, who's also doing or also getting other things done, I thought 26 years ago, when I started the ministry, I thought I would always be a second man. I wanted to be supportive of the leadership. That was my greatest desire in life. And then God had something different for me, and that's fine. But someone with ministry understands that being supportive of the leadership is how the bus goes down the road. Challenges of a minister. Okay, here's your challenges. You criticize those who are not serving. Okay? You are critical of those who do not appear to be serving. Now that's why it's a challenge, because you can't always see how people serve. Right? But you are willing to be critical of those who appear not to be serving. Helps others to the extent of neglecting personal family. If your wife hasn't seen you in a month because every day after work you're going to someone else to serve them and to minister to them, sometimes you'll neglect your personal family. Sometimes you will. Now, there's a balance to all of that. I know some people hate the word balance, but you can both minister and serve and meet your own priorities. But your challenge is that your desire is to help everybody else. It doesn't matter how it affects me. It doesn't matter how it affects my circle. I just want to make sure everyone else's needs are getting met. You're so enthusiastic to help, but may come across as pushy. Okay? May come across as pushy. Like you have no problems breaking down the tables from the fellowship. But the guy standing around drinking the coffee watching you do it might be the one that feels like you've been a little pushy when you hit him with the table on the way by. So your enthusiasm to help comes across as, well, why isn't everybody doing this? And it becomes a little pushy. Does not like to be served. Okay? Think about caregivers, for example. Nurses or, people who care give. They're not the best. You can't hardly care for a caregiver. The same is true with ministry. If you like to serve, you don't like to be the one to be served. You need to be, you deserve to be, but you don't like it. It's awkward to you. You feel like you should be doing something instead of someone doing something for you. And then you're saddened when unappreciated. We said that earlier. A characteristic is you desire to be appreciated, but a challenge to that is this. You get sad, which starts to borderline bitterness when no one has said thank you. Not just once, but ever. Listen, one of the hardest things to do as a pastor is to make sure that you communicate an appreciation for the things everybody does, the things people can see and the things people can't see. I have two, I don't know what you do here, Pastor Hawkins, but at home we have two treasurers, and they do a tremendous amount of work every week, but nobody sees them because it happens in a locked office every week. And no one sees that. No, and I don't know how many people even think about it. But on occasion, I try to remember to publicly be grateful for the work they do, because it has to happen. It gets awkward in some situations. Again, I don't know your situation here, but Jody, my wife, the church pays her to clean. That's how it was set up when we got to the church. We're okay with that. We have no problems with that. We love the situation. I think the church loves the situation. But she does a lot of stuff people don't see because she cleans during the week. And you're saying, well, she gets paid to do that. I understand. But she still does a great job. But then it's hard for me to say how much I appreciate her, because then it looks like, I'm a homer. Like I'm just promoting my wife. But everyone deserves to be appreciated for the things they can see and the things that they can't see. And if you're the gift of ministry, you're saddened when it seems to go unappreciated with what you've done. Uses. Here's how you can use ministers. Here's how, if you are a ministry gifted person, you can be used in your church, serving anywhere, anytime, doing anything. It's not deep. There's nothing specific for you, because for you, there's nothing off the table. You might not know what you're doing, and I don't mean that to be ugly, but you don't care if it's filling in for a teacher that's sick, keeping a nursery and you've never changed a diaper, stacking songbooks, moving chairs, cleaning a toilet, filling in the sound booth. People with ministry would say, well, sure, Pastor. I don't know what buttons to flip, but I'll be glad to sit in the sound booth. Yeah. But someone with ministry there are no boundaries for you, because there's nothing you won't do. And so you serve anywhere, anytime, doing anything. And I'm not being funny with that statement. There's nothing you won't do, and you know it. Now, how do we minister? Well, the Bible says in our passage or ministry, let us wait on our ministry. Now, you say, well, Pastor, preacher, what does that mean? Does that mean that we have to wait until we see an opportunity to minister? No, I need you to think about that word not like a time reference, not like waiting and going. That's like wait staff. How many of you have ever had a waiter serve you food? Or a waitress bring your meal? Wait staff. That's what this word means. Let us wait on our ministering. So here's how I will summarize that. Okay? How should I minister? By doing it. By going. By being active. Your pastor does not have to instruct you. You wait on your ministering. What makes in your mind, what makes a great wait staff? Somebody give me an example. Sir? Attentive. So your glass is never empty, kind of idea, right? And so you're attentive. That's what this means. Pastor shouldn't have to ask all the things all the time. Now, there's certain things that are pulling at him he needs to ask for. But it would be okay if this right here was done by someone who said, well, that probably didn't belong there. Let me go ahead and pick that up. It's just a piece of trash we can throw away. I was waiting on my ministry. I was waiting on being observant. There's some trash I could pick up. There's some lawn that needs to be mowed. There's a project. Why is that? Instead of saying, well, why has that sat there for 6 months? Well, the question should be, why haven't I moved it? Or asking someone why it's been sitting there. So you can, maybe pastor's been waiting for someone to help. There's just lots of ways to wait on ministering. And it doesn't mean sit around till someone asks. It means do it until someone says stop. Think about what was communicated in the Old Testament when the Bible said they just kept giving of their offerings until he said, stop bringing it, it's too much. I don't know, Pastor Hawkins, but I've never said as a pastor, boy, I wish they'd quit doing that. It's just, man, I hate when they do all that ministry. I wish they'd just stop doing all that ministry. No, listen, wait on ministering. That is how we do it. All the time, being observant, great word, making sure that you're looking for an opportunity to be a blessing to someone else. That's how we minister. Let's review it. And so here, we have the ability to recognize and administer assistance to others. That recognizing is the attentiveness, right? So you're recognizing something needs to be done, then you're willing in it, and you're willing to jump in and fill that spot. All right, questions.